Okay, I just wanted to show you a quick video of something that happened just after the European trade room session today. This was in the FTSE futures, and this is just an exercise in being patient. This is a really good example of how important patience can be, especially in summer markets. So what we can see is the FTSE actually gapped higher from Monday's session, and it initially had a test slightly lower towards closing the gap, but it could not do that. Now, what subsequently happened was then we started to push higher. There was no setup immediately to go long. There was a overnight setup that wasn't something that we could take. And then we looked a little bit lower. Now, at this point, what we started to do is we went into a bit of a sideways range, and actually what I did was I drew in a bit of a triangle pattern. I was looking for some kind of breakout of this triangle. Now, it's not particularly good, but the in that it was just on a very short time frame chart. But early on in the session, with that type of activity, it tested higher, pulled back, made a lower high again. The idea was hopefully I could get a short, and it would pull back and start getting into this gap zone here, which might act as a magnet. Now, it did in fact break lower, but then it didn't really get that much further. And unfortunately, although what can happen is you can break out of this type of behavior and pull back and then push on in the same direction again. It did in fact just go straight through and straight to the stop. However, there were sellers in there again, because you can see, although it reversed quite quickly, quite hard, and this did actually happen quite quickly, although this is on a tick chart, these two candlesticks happened quite quickly, and it found a few sellers in there. It just pulled back immediately, not very much, but it didn't continue, and then it tried a bit higher again and pulled back again, and it started to go sideways. And what I said at this point was, actually what we need to do is we need to draw in a rectangle just to denote where the edges of the range are, because what might be happening is this might be coming into some sort of balance. Now, this did persist for a while until here. Now, the one thing that I always try and point out is that actually the activity, although the balance doesn't break until you get out of these high, the balance high or the balance low, actually the activity tends to change from the middle, and what you find is that there will be broader movement, larger movement from one side, from the low to the high, and then there'll be higher low, lower high, and it will come into like a triangle type pattern. And you can see that it did start to become a little bit tighter into this red candlestick here, and this actually, again, this happened real time, more quickly, although this is a tick based chart again. It did actually happen relatively quickly. At that point we did pause for a bit, but the fact is it did show the potential for a continuation lower and a breakout of this low. Now what then happened is we got another setup here. Of course, we weren't going to take the setup on the low of this range, but if you were to adjust to 68.35 or 68.35 and a half, we could have taken this trade very comfortably and got the full target relatively quickly. Now, bear in mind that this is supposed to be a two-position strategy, so one fixed target and one trailing target at least. You then have your trailing stop in place behind the green line, the jump line 9, and we can see just what this market did subsequently. and in fact it did precisely what I suggested was going to happen originally, and it trailed down. It actually trailed down quite a bit further before stopping out at 68.17. Now, taking it at the short at 68.35 per 2 lots, that would have been a profit of £215. Now, yes, there was a loss here, and unfortunately sometimes this is the way it happens. You take one trade and it doesn't work out, you have to take that loss, but then sometimes you don't always get the opportunity to take that trade when it does finally break. But in this case we did, and it turned out to be a really fantastic trade. Thanks for watching.